I'll share with you 5 actionable tips on how I get stuff done, even on those days that I don't feel like it. And I want to talk about how you can manage everything without going completely crazy. And the last tip takes only 5 minutes to implement, but has dramatically increased my efficiency and motivation to get stuff done. Here's a preview of this video in 2 words.
Only pain.
My first tip is that you need to schedule your tasks. Yes, you need to decide upfront when and on what specific tasks you will work. Really, if you have that written down, you're halfway there. The other half is to get started, but we're gonna touch on that a bit later. And I'm not just making this stuff up. Productivity bestseller author Cal Newport endorses time blocking. He says something like this: why I bother with a detailed weekly plan? My answer is simple. It generates a massive amount of productivity. A 40-hour time block work week, I estimate, produces the same amount of output as 60+ hour work week pursued without a structure. So you can see you can get more done in shorter time period just by scheduling some blocks in your calendar. When I started with my side hustle, which have varied over the years from party planner website and link cloaking software to creating content for YouTube, all the time I was a pop star. Wait a minute. I don't think that was me. I was having trouble getting things done for my side hustle, at least on a consistent basis. There was always something more important to do. Or then I convinced myself that I didn't have enough motivation that day. So I wasn't able to get things done and I wasn't moving towards my goals. I can imagine you've had similar experiences. What I started doing is that every Sunday I spend about 15 minutes to plan my following week. I simply use Google Calendar to get organized. Let me show you an example on my computer. This is my calendar for next week. As you can see, I allocate time for things that matter to me. For example, I have a reserved time for my girlfriend, YouTube videos, workouts, friends, and some relaxed time, and so on. But basically everything is planned out in the calendar. This means I always know what I should be doing or working on. I'm not going into the specifics of how I plan my week. You can learn more about that by clicking on the white YouTube card. It should appear somewhere here on top. Now, do I really stick always to these times? No. Especially weekends tend to be a bit different than the plan, and things get shuffled around and so on. But the important thing is that I have a plan and then I adjust as things come up. And you know what else comes up in this video? You clicking on the thumbs up. That would help me a lot with the YouTube gods. My second tip is to think in systems, not goals. I know it sounds like something that Mr. Miyagi would say, no goals, only systems. No, but seriously, this is something that James Clear talks about in his best-selling book, Atomic Habits. Goals are about results you want to achieve. Systems are about processes that lead to the results. Goals can be achieved only at one point at a time, and you either achieve them or you don't. If you don't achieve them, you feel unhappy. But with systems, you are basically working on the process. Let me give you an example. Let's say your goal is to grow your blog to 10,000 visitors in the next 10 months. That would mean you need to grow the blog by 1,000 visitors every month. If you don't achieve that, you'll be disappointed and discouraged, especially since you don't have full control over outcome, as you need to kind of please Google to get some free traffic, right? So you need to know the SEO and massage Google so that you can even achieve that goal. What if instead you would create a process of working on the blog for, let's say, 2 hours, 3 times a week? That's pretty achievable, right? This is really powerful mentally because you have total control over the outcome and you can achieve it pretty much every week. And with time, the blog will grow to 10,000 and beyond. It's just bound to happen. Obviously, you should still have some measurement of your progress. The point is not to go all hippie and just do stuff for the sake of it. So if after 3 months you are barely attracting 100 viewers to your blog, go back to your system and tweak it. Maybe spend more time on keyword research or take SEO course and so on. Just tweak the process and you will get there. Personally, systems have helped me to feel happier about my work. I do have to admit that I still fall in the trap of comparing my growth to others, which is such a wrong approach and limits my happiness. But that's completely separate topic. Just make sure that you're always trying to focus on the process and not so much on those concrete goals. No, but Robert, you don't understand. I'm so tired that I don't even have any motivation left. I just want to crash on the couch and, watch Netflix. I get it. I really do. I know how it feels. Half of the time I'm low on motivation, and that's where my third tip comes handy. Just get started. Huh? Duh. No, really. Japanese call this technique kaizen. You can look it up on YouTube. It's a real thing. Essentially, the idea is that before giving up on a task, tell yourself, okay, I'm going to try to do this for 5 to 10 minutes. If I still feel lack of motivation, then I'll just stop and start watching Netflix. And you know what? It really works. I probably use this technique once a week, and 99% of the time I spend the full 2 hours on the task instead of the 5 to 10 minutes. You know why this works so well? The hardest part is always getting started. Once the ball is rolling, and it's just easier to keep up the momentum. And to convince your brain, you set a very easy goal like 5 minutes so you can always achieve it. Hey, brain, it only takes 5 minutes. Sometimes to make it easier to get the ball rolling, I choose a task that is really easy or that I enjoy more. So for example, instead of editing a video for YouTube, I might start with creating a thumbnail because I just like the process more. My fourth tip is that you need to make sure you start small and then extend the task as you get into it. Even if you can allocate only half an hour per day, it's okay. Actually, I think it's better to start small and then grow into it. You need to know your limits, otherwise you'll just get burned out. A few years ago, I put too much pressure on myself with my side hustle, and I started having anxiety and panic attacks. Eventually I got it under control, but it's nothing fun. So make sure you have it in balance. And if you see some famous people saying that you need to work 16 hours per day to achieve your dreams, then don't believe it. First of all, we are all different and we can handle pressure differently. Second of all, these people didn't start like that. They probably gradually increased the work amount. Also, the better you get at something, the more you like it, and it feels less like work.
Limits you must stretch, break must you not.
My fifth and last tip might seem small, but for me it has done wonders. Whenever you are about to finish with your task for the day, just write down what you need to do next. Literally, the next few action points. Why? Well, the next day or next week when you sit down to work on the same task again, you don't need to think about what should you do next. You'll just act on the action points you left yourself. This requires almost no willpower because you are following instructions from yourself. Even if you remember the next steps, write them down. That way, the first 30 minutes or so, you are like a robot. You just execute it, going crazy, machine-like. Since we were talking about how to get stuff done, how about learning how to plan your week for the best results? More about that in the video right here. And have you heard of the expression, what you can't measure, you can't improve? Well, if you want to get wealthy, you need to make sure you track your spendings and on a monthly basis. More about that in this video right here.